Our project for this week is seeing people, models, poses, and proportion. Our big question is, how do we see our world? Today, we will understand that some artworks are based on sketches of people. We will compare and contrast similarities and differences in preliminary studies and the finished artwork. We will create sketches to meet studio evaluation criteria. Have you ever been amazed on how well an artist drew or painted people in an artwork? I know I have. Learning to draw anything in our world takes careful looking and practice. Today, we'll learn to look at people as artists do. We'll view and create artworks as we learn new ways to see people. A model is a person who poses or assumes a certain position, standing, sitting, bending, and so forth. We're really going to focus on sketching models. When we sketch the model, we look carefully at the different parts, head, arms, and legs, and try to sketch them in proportion to each other within the correct sizes and lengths. When we hear that word proportion, what do you think of? It's about drawing pieces in relation to each other. Have you ever drawn a person before and they have a really big head and a little body? Well, that means they are not in proportion. We want the head and the arms and the legs to all be in proportion or relative size to each other. Let's look at this artwork by Edgar Degas, Four Studies of a Dancer. Do you think this artwork is finished? If we look at the title, we see the word studies. That means it's actually the artist looking at models and studying them. So the title tells us that it's a sketch or an unfinished piece of artwork. We can see that the artist looked at models to draw this artwork. The ballerinas were the models for these sketches. Is this artwork finished? Why do you think? A finished artwork can be based on sketches. I believe that this is a finished artwork. If we look at the title, Little Dancer, Bronze Sculpture, it looks like it's finished and the artist has, practiced and worked towards this piece. Let's compare the two sketches. Do you see any similarities? The first artwork, A, is sketches of ballerinas. And if we look at the ballerina in the front here, we can really tell that the sculpture is modeled after this ballerina. We can see the front of her, the sides, and the back. So all of these pieces went towards creating or practicing for this sculpture. The artist used the sketch to prepare for the larger piece of artwork. And that's something that we need to remember when we're working, that artists use sketches to plan for larger pieces of artwork. All right, we're going to talk a little bit more about proportion here. Let's look at figure C. If we look at the head here, this is how the unit of measurement that an artist used to draw this person. And if we look, the head goes down in comparison to the rest of the body. The guidelines in C help you see and draw proportions in a figure. Proportions show how parts are related to each other. For example, the hips are about halfway between the feet and the top of the head. So we want to think about all the parts of the person related to a whole. Next, gesture drawing. Today we're going to practice drawing people, but we're not going to do it how you usually think of. A gesture drawing captures the pose of a figure. A pose is how the person is standing. And here are some examples of gesture drawing. You're going to be doing that for your studio project today. Here's a quick example. I didn't have models, so I had to get pictures of ballerinas, but I'm sure you have family members. When I'm drawing a gesture drawing, I just use shapes and lines to capture their body. And I really look at how they're posing and standing. If you notice, I did not draw any facial features or really any clothing designs on my model. I just looked at their poses and then I captured them using the circle. And I looked at them and I thought about them. Each sketch took me about 60 seconds. So they're very quick in their study. This is an unfinished artwork. So here's our art assignment. Draw a model in 6 different poses using the gesture drawing technique. You will need a pencil, eraser, and sketchbook. We are not adding color to these. You will need a family member or a friend to act as your model. You can divide your paper into 6 boxes if that helps you, just like I did in my example video in the previous slide. You will draw your model in 6 different poses on the front of one sheet of paper. So I might set a timer for my model for 60 seconds. My model will stand in 6 different poses. You could suggest to your model a sitting pose, standing, stretching, winding up for a pitch. Any yoga pose will work, throwing a baseball, but you do not have to use these poses. You can make your own up. And just to remember, your gesture drawing should not have details and use ovals and quick strokes to draw your model. I will be looking at the sketches, carefully study the model and details of the pose. The lines show the model's shape, position, and a little bit of clothing. Please don't focus on that last criteria. And remember, a gesture drawing captures the movement or a pose of an object or figure. You can practice gesture drawing in your class, but you're going to use family members, and they will pose so that you can draw them. Draw quickly. You can add details later if you want. Take in the overall action of the pose of your subject. Use large, swift strokes to help you capture the forms, angles, and directions. And here's an example of a student artwork there. All right, good luck, and remember to post your artwork to the Schoology Media album. Take a picture of it with your Chromebook and then post it. Thank you.